This is exactly what I signed up for, by the way. So he went in this rut right here, and then slid like that. Hey everyone, welcome back to 12 Turn. I'm gonna attempt this little recap video again now that it's not raining and then pouring down rain and making me look ridiculous in a soaked wet t-shirt. So let's go ahead and get started. It is now July 1st, so it was what, 2 weeks ago that I had the opportunity to attend MotoMission's Holy Smokies in Tellico Plains, Tennessee. It's an event that I kind of had my eye on for a little while and actually missed the opportunity to enroll in the event because I was kind of trying to plan to where I could rent a cabin at Smitty's, and all the dates were blocked off. I'd emailed MotoMission and they said, hey, just hang tight. When we get a little bit closer to the event, the email blast will go live and then you'll be able to go in and book your cabin and whatnot. I really wanted the opportunity to be with everyone through riding through the day and doing the thing in the evening and in the morning and whatnot. So anyway, some time went by. I didn't hear anything, so I decided to reach out, and they had said, oh, well, unfortunately everything had been booked, so I don't know if I missed the email, I never got it, whatever, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter. The end result is I was unable to stay at Smitty's. So then what I found out was, hey, you know, that's fine, it is what it is. I had just gotten information that my house had sold in Florida and that the closing date for that sale was going to be the Friday of the event. So all in all, I was kind of like, you know what, one morning I said to myself, I was like, I guess it all worked out because with the closing and whatnot, I was gonna have to miss, you know, probably a couple hours worth, probably right in the middle of the day on Friday. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, it all lines up. I literally had that thought and then did a quick email refresh as I was taking a break doing morning stuff around the house. And I got an email from MotoMission saying, hey, we have a slot open if you'd like to join. And I was like, man, you can't make up that timing. You really can't make up the fact that it was, oh, it's fine. It was a blessing that, you know, I wasn't able to go, so now I can close on the selling of my house. And now all of a sudden I'm getting an email saying, hey, we have an opportunity for you to join. Would you like to join? So the long and the short is I just said, screw it, I'm going all in. I signed up for it, paid the deposit, paid the ticket price, the whole deal. I think it was like $199 for the whole deal. So I did that and I was like, I'll just figure out the closing. Maybe I just missed one day, maybe it's only a couple hours. I don't know. This will be my first MotoMission event, so I don't know if it's like a self-guided, you break off into groups, or everyone goes as one big group. I don't know. I'm about to find out though. So after that, I ended up booking a cabin with Tellico Plains cabin rentals or something like that. It was right off of 68, so it was in super close proximity to Smitty's. It was probably only maybe 10 or 12 miles from the actual campground was where the cabin was located, and you're on beautiful 2-lane twisty highway out there, so that definitely worked out to stay in that cabin and then be in such close proximity to be able to go to and from, and then when you're done for the day you can go back and shower and eat and all that stuff. So I had no idea what to expect going into this event. I was kind of uncomfortable about it because I didn't like the idea of meeting with a bunch of people that, you know, I don't know, and I just didn't know really what to expect because Holy Smokies does have like a spiritual layer to it. But what I wanted to do is just do whatever makes me feel uncomfortable. So whether that's a group of 50 people that I've never met a day in my life and surround myself with, you know, spiritual people, which I'm a spiritual person, but kind of in a different aspect. So I wanted to, again, just do whatever is uncomfortable, right? What is the saying? Have fun, take chances, right? So that's kind of what it was, is, hey, it's gonna be a blast to go out and ride motorcycles in Tennessee. And then that, you know, taking a chance is, you know, you may have a really great time surrounding yourself with these people, you may not have a great time. But either way, it is what it is. I'm out there on my bike and I'm gonna have fun regardless, so it doesn't really matter. So fast forward to Tuesday before the event, we left my area in North Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte. I rode my Tenere, just like this, from just south of Charlotte, North Carolina to our first point was the Sunoco gas station right at the beginning of the Chirrahalla Skyway. If I'm saying that correctly, I'm sure I'll mispronounce it and I'll get corrected in the comments, and I would appreciate that because to this day I don't think I still say it correctly. But I wanted to take a more scenic route, and as any of you experienced Garmin users know, you can just pick a destination, set the adventure level setting, and select your preferences, avoid highways, avoid tolls, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. So I'd kind of manipulated the route a little bit to work our way through Lake Lure and Chimney Rock and stuff like that, because, you know, one, I've never been there, and two, you know, you have all the devastation from Helene, so I kind of wanted to see what that was about, and not in a, you know, bash these people, ha, sucks for you. No, it's actually the polar opposite. You know, I really wanted to see and experience what these people went through. And I'll tell you, you know, when we got there, I had no idea what to expect. So you drop into Lake Lure, and there's really not much of a lake to see, actually. I didn't know that it was completely drained, essentially, and I'm not saying that that's fact. It's just what I observed was the Lake Lure beach area and all the restaurants that were on that waterfront property. It was not so waterfront anymore. And again, I'm completely numb to all that stuff. I shouldn't say numb, I should say I'm not exposed to that stuff because I don't have cable. I only have internet at my house. I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I don't do any of that stuff. So for me, the little snippets I got were, you know, I first closed on this house in September, and all that stuff was going on at that time. So that was really the only exposure I had, was making sure that the house I just built was still standing, and trying to navigate moving from Florida to North Carolina during all of that stuff. So that was my only level of exposure. So to drive through that and just see a lake that's completely drained and all that, it was just mind-blowing. I should have been recording it. I didn't really know what to expect, and my fault. I was more excited and eager just to get the journey underway, you know, because my background, I grew up riding motocross, and mainly it was more like enduro, like woods riding with my father. We would ride motocross bikes. Actually, he had a KDX 200, which to this day I still think is one of the best woods bikes you can buy. But anyways, so that's the bike that he had, and we just go through and rip and dodge trees and have fun in the sugar sand. I wouldn't say it's a lot of fun, but it taught me a lot, and I owe a lot to him and the time that he had spent teaching me how to ride, and the time we were out there just having the time of our lives riding that sugar sand. So anyways, so with my background that way, I've never really done big trips per se. I've spent a ton of time riding street. I think it was like when I first turned 18, I went out and bought a street bike, and I was riding all over God's creation, but never did big trips. Just spent a lot of time riding in my area and stuff. So it wasn't abnormal for me to be out riding all day. It's just that I never really did the destination thing, which was part of the appeal of adventure riding, right? It was one of the things I loved about riding dirt bikes. Is you could say, oh, well, there's this mining thing or this lake over here or whatever, fill in the blank, and you're going to go and find it, you know. And then the trip there is part of the enjoyment, and then when you get there is your actual reward. So I really love that aspect of it. So those are all the things that kind of brought me to adventure riding, was the fact that I could still do my off-road, still do my on-road, and now you have a bike that you can enjoy the pavement ride, and when you get to the destination, you can hit the dirt and have a blast getting to your actual spot. And it's perfect, right? Can't ask for more. So that was my fault for not recording that stuff. I truly super excited to hit the road and get this stuff going. So when we hit Lake Lure, again, like I said, it was just nothing. There was no water there or anything. You could see all the stainless docks that were in there, like the floating docks you'd have, because I'm sure they probably had little rentals or whatever you could go out on. We're all just smashed up against the shore and whatnot. And then as you continue on, then you get into like that Chimney Rock area, and that was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, but beautiful kind of at the same time. And not saying that the devastation is beautiful in any way, shape, or form, because there still is a level of nature there that is it's breathtaking. And I've never been there, so this was my only sample size is one. So it really was a beautiful experience to see. But again, like I said, super heartbreaking at the same time, because you see houses that are on the side of this beautiful mountain, and half of it's just fallen away, you know, and that someone lived there, their whole lives were in that square, and it's gone, and it's gone like that. It wasn't like you had this 2 weeks worth of warning and you had all this time to clear out and stuff like that. You know, it was definitely something that wasn't expected, and really you couldn't really prepare for, I guess. So we had encountered multiple stops there where you were stopped for 10-15 minutes at a time, because it was down to one lane, and you had people working on the side of the road that were doing whatever, fill in the blank. So that slowed down our progress getting to Tellico Plains, which I didn't mind. The little breaks here or there, quick hydrate, snack on some fruit or something like that. And so it wasn't that bad, but it definitely slowed our progress. We had until 6 o'clock to get to the cabin rental check-in deal, so we could get the keys. So trying to take the scenic route, wasn't expecting that many delays, but it didn't research it a ton. I'm kind of just like, oh, this is what we're gonna do, boom, and we go and do it. So we get through all that stuff, and we get to the Sunoco gas station at the beginning of the Skyway. Fill up, and I'm pumped at this point, because this is where things really get exciting for me. Everything I've been looking forward to is going out and experience. I've never been on the Skyway ever, so I wanted to experience that. And again, shame on me for not recording, which I should have done, and had plans to actually ride it again and record, but I'll get to how the days played out here in a minute. Long story short, I never got an opportunity to do that. So we fill up, quick bathroom break, quick hydrate, and we peel off. And you have several roads that lead you to the actual Skyway, and you can see the signs that are counting down, 2 miles to the Skyway, 1 mile, 0.5, whatever, fill in the blank. And ride the entire Skyway. And guys, I cannot stress this enough. This is a must-do for anyone that hasn't done it. Go out, experience it, enjoy it. It is breathtakingly beautiful. Granted, it's middle of summer, so the trees are really dense. I would imagine in fall it's beautiful because of the colors. And then also in winter, it's probably even more beautiful because you won't have the leaves on the trees and you can really see far, because there's a lot to see there. And I didn't stop at any of the little overlooks, because again, we were on a time crunch just to make it to the cabin check-in place by 6 o'clock. So I couldn't really afford any of that stuff. There were times that I pulled off and kind of did a slow, idle, and stood up and looked, and it's gorgeous. God's creation is beautiful. So fast forward to being done with the Skyway and coming down, and you're along Tellico River. Get to the cabin check-in place with probably 20 minutes to spare. It's raining lightly, not a big deal. That's all part of the adventure. Lady comes out, I check in, get the keys, and she's like, all right, have a great time, blah, blah, blah. I talked to my fiance and I'm like, hey, it's raining now. Looks like there's a big storm on the way. I really don't want to ride. I don't want to go out of my way to ride in a torrential downpour. It's one thing if you get caught in it or whatever, it's fine, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it, especially when I've been on the bike since 9 a.m. and it's now basically 6. So we decided to ride to the cabin, drop off the bike. I'd empty my saddlebags, remove my camera case and my GPS and whatnot, just because I don't want to leave it with all the stuff in it that someone could literally just walk up, undo the straps, and walk away with a $10,000 camera that's in this case. Not exactly what I had in mind. So we emptied all the gear and whatnot, and then we took off for Ironworks Grill. It's a small restaurant located right on the Tellico River. Beautiful restaurant. We brought our dog with us, so you can go to the downstairs area is where they allow dogs, and it's like kind of like a self-seat type deal. You just walk in there and pick a spot, greeted, and we had excellent service all nights. The first night we had a guy that was newer and didn't really know a whole lot, but then we got this one server, I want to say her name was like Raven or something like that. I don't know, I remember a bird type name. I'm not saying that she's a bird or anything, but that's what I remember. And she was awesome, super attentive, on point, food, drink, whatever you needed, she was on it. So good experience there. So if you're in that area and maybe have your dog with you, that's one of the areas that you can go to. Food was good, service was good, beautiful view because you're right there on the river. Gorgeous view. Wednesday is technically the start of the event. You do like an event check-in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You get your little wristband, which I've tied up here, and you just kind of meet and greet. You get your event t-shirt and whatnot. So to rewind back to the closing on the sale of my house is supposed to be on Friday. I think Monday I got notification that everything was going to be ready sooner, and that we'd actually be able to close on Wednesday at 12:30. And again, divine timing, right? That I was so worried about the closing on the sale of my house, interfering with the ride. Most importantly was making sure that sale happened flawlessly so I could, move on from that. And perfect divine timing to be able to do that and say, hey, listen, you're going to be able to close sooner, and just be done with it before the event technically even starts. So there's no cell service at the cabin. Your iPhone's in SOS mode the entire time. There is Wi-Fi, not the greatest, but you're in the middle of nowhere, so it's all good. I'm not mad about that. Just, had something I had to work around. So Wednesday morning I got up early, drove into town, and made a couple phone calls, stuff I just had to wrap up that I needed phone connectivity for. Everything else could be done on Wi-Fi. Fast forward to Wednesday afternoon, go through with the sale, sale of my house. Everything went through perfectly. Got that all done, and then I was like, all right, sweet, I want to go out and ride. Well, I had a couple of things I had to wrap up before then, so really, realistically, I got to do one thing, which was catch up to Anna at Consuega Falls, I think is what it's called. It's on right off of 68, and it's not part of, but it's the road that you're on that you get to a spot where you either go right to head towards Consuega Falls, or you go left and head on Witt Road. And I say that word and everyone knows about that, and boy, do I got some stories about that as well. So I go to catch up with them, and it's just like a hey, you know, all is well, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm gonna head to the event. So I head to the event and get checked in, get my t-shirt and all that jazz, get my little wristband, which started out on my wrist, but it was supposed to indicate that you're a part of the ride. So, you know, I guess they had people that tag along, which, you know, we have a story about that coming up as well. But I can see that. You could have people know that, oh, it's gonna be at Smitty's, and just show up and they don't pay for the fee or anything like that and just kind of tag along. So a way to keep it somewhat conformed. But I'll tell you, this group is the most accepting group I've ever been a part of, to where, hey brother, you wanna come and ride? Or sister, you wanna come and ride? Let's go, you know, which we'll get to that here in a minute. So again, I'm there, you got all these people everywhere, and I'm a socially awkward person, even though I can turn it on, you know, in my 2 decades in the car business and all that. But naturally, I'm not that way. With the people that are in my circle, I'm extremely outgoing and all that. But, you know, these are people that I've never talked to a day in my life. So I'm just kind of shelled up. But I went to this event with the thought process of, I really want to do photos, and I really want to bring a level of photography to the industry that's really only present in the in the manufacturer realm, which is going to be your major manufacturers during professional shoots, you know, doing shots like that. Now, granted, I didn't bring all my equipment. I was just kind of more streamlined and trying to keep it simple. This case here houses either of my Sonys. So I have a Sony A7R III and a Sony A1, and up to my 70 to 200 Grandmaster Sony lens, and then 2 extra batteries. And I do run the battery extension pack on both of my Sonys, so it's really only one full swap, which when you're doing short little shoots like that, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. But again, I just wanted to see how this setup would work and if my camera would survive, because I've never done anything like this. I know people do it, but it's the first time of me doing it, and I'm not trying to damage any of my gear, especially that's how I make my money, right? So I was in this awkward state, and, you know, I just said, you know what, if this was a paid shoot, how would I react? And all the light bulbs in my head went off, and I just said, I'm just gonna get to work. And that's exactly what I did. I walked around the venue taking pictures of signage and displays and people's bikes and people interacting and blah, 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 blah. Just no different than if it was a paid shoot for me to tell a story. I have to tell a story with images, right? So that's essentially exactly what I did. And that started opening up the conversation with patrons, and then also some of the MotoMission people. They said, oh, you're John, you're the photographer, because I had sent out an email just asking for permission to do photos at this event, because it's not my event. I'm not there to step on any toes or anything like that. I'm just here like, hey, I want to help. I want to be a part of something awesome, and that's what I want to do. So that started those conversations, and then naturally I just started talking with other people. And I said this before, this is like one of the best group of people. You were treated like family right out of the gate. There was never any like, oh, this guy is, you know, he's an outsider or whatever, because a lot of these people have been on rides with each other before, you know, so they were all like, hey bud, hey pal, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. So wrap that up at like 4 o'clock, if memory serves me right. We started moto coaching, and the first round of moto coaching was going to be essentially just slow race, and then navigating, you know, your counterbalancing, turning around, going around like cones. So I think that this was an interesting aspect, is that this was included in it. You know, a lot of people pay extra money for this moto coaching and whatnot. He included, he took time out of his day to go ahead and do this stuff and give you guys free information. Now, I know the argument could be, oh, well, the event was $200, $50 worth could be towards, you know, coaching or whatever. I don't look at it like that. he could easily charge people for an extra session on the outside, because at $200 is, in my opinion, is pennies, right? I'm a numbers guy, so for me, when I look at, okay, it's $200 for the event and it's 4 days worth, and I'm gonna be able to do it from say 9 to 5, and you do that math equation, the value there is insane. You can't comprehend it, right? Because it's mind-blowing the amount of value you get for that, because of the amount of experience and fun that you have with your motorcycle off-road. You know, for example, I race competition RC cars, and for me to hook up my truck and trailer, drive from North Carolina to say North Florida, we'll say it's in the Panhandle, and Tallahassee is where there's a big track, I think it's called Capital City, and say I have to go there, I need hotel lodging for a couple of days, because the event is Saturday and Sunday, or sorry, Friday and Saturday. So we would get there typically on Thursday, so you have to have it for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then leave Sunday morning to head back. So you only have those few days. You have food for 2 people, dog food you're bringing on your own. And then of course the wear and tear on the equipment and whatnot. So we'll say, for example, that you spend $2,000 in that weekend, right? $2,000 to go and do a race. We'll say that you run several practice sessions, but the practice sessions are 5 minutes each. Those are regulated. You don't get extra time beyond that. You get 5 minutes per practice session on the track. You can go as many times as you want, but you have to run the 5 minutes, put your car down, go out and turn marshal for the next group, and then you can go right back out if you choose. But most of the time you're running those 5-minute practice sessions to absorb data and make changes to your car, and try to get an idea of how the track is going to progress over time as it dries out, or is it going to rain, or as the humidity level increases, decreases, temperature, you name it. There's a million things going on to it, and that's a completely different video to talk about RC stuff. But we'll say that you do that, and then you run your qualifiers and your mains. We'll say you spend a total of 2 hours on the driver's stand. Total of 2 hours out there driving the car, doing the thing, having a blast, having the time of your life, right? I love RC racing. So for 2 hours of enjoyment, you spent $2,000. That's $1,000 an hour. Real simple equation. When you look at something like this, where you're doing it 9 to 5, that's 8 hours a day times 4 days, right? That's 32 hours. And if you say you spend the same $2,000, you know, those two equations don't even begin to line up in terms of return on investment. So again, I go back to why this is such a great value. Yeah, the bike is expensive. I mean, I paid $9,000 for this Tenere and then added some extras to it. But a competition nitro RC car, with good equipment and, you know, proper hop-ups for the chassis that you choose, is probably going to cost you about $5,000. So you're halfway there, right? So when you start thinking about it in that, it's really not that expensive to get into this. Now I know RC is an expensive hobby and we're not here to talk about RC, but I'm just talking about the return on investment. So going back to the moto coaching, we did that. Insane value for the money, $200. You get to have these routes and meet these awesome people, and you get some free coaching from someone that, you know, I don't know his motocross background. I know he said that he did that, if memory serves me right. Either way, it's not here nor there. It's irrelevant. The man's ridden all over the country on a motorcycle, could definitely teach me a thing or two, and I think we should all be receptive to the information, because none of us are ever going to know anything, and I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn and absorb what I can from others to just get better, because none of us will ever be perfect. It's always that strive for perfection, right? What does Lexus call it? The pursuit of perfection, right? Same thing. So we did the moto coaching. We start to get some gray skies. You get a nice drizzle. Cooled everything off a little bit. Made for some epic photos. I'll be sharing those with you guys. I mean, the photos were just awesome. As a professional photographer for over a decade, if there's a lighting scenario that I could choose, it would always be overcast. The lighting is very soft. There's not this harsh contrast between highlights and shadows. It's just beautiful. You can't ask for more. So we had that nice light drizzle. I was shooting the camera the entire time. My hat's off to the people that did that, especially once we started getting into the rain falling for more than just a few minutes, because anyone who's ridden a motorcycle, you know how little traction there is in wet grass. And I watched many people go down. This is not a haha, you suck. No. This is a props to you guys, especially this one guy. I'll just go ahead and start talking about him now. James riding his XT250. He has an amazing story of why he started riding adventure motorcycles, and just such a good dude. You know, he would every morning he'd just say, I didn't die, you know, because he's stepping out of his comfort zone and doing whatever makes him happy, and it ignites his life. And you know, it's just, man, that guy was just such an inspiration. And he had that bike. It was so shiny new when I took the first picture of it. And he went out, went down immediately in the grass and all that, and he would just laugh about it, pick up the bike, and keep going. And that's what it's all about. That's what I do. That's what I like is, oh man, they just smash their truck with their ladder sticking out of the trailer. If you suck, you suck. Anyways, so so James did a phenomenal job. There's other riders that did a phenomenal job as well during that rainy grass, you know. So sorry, a little distracted by them smashing the truck and the trailer. Their wife's like, oh my bad, so sorry. So we finished the moto coaching, and then it was like, okay, we'll see everyone tomorrow morning for the ride. It's the first official day of the event. We have all the tracks loaded. I have all the tracks loaded in my Garmin. I have a Zuma XT2. I move between my two bikes. Also, you can see it on Tread and Explore and all the other doodads in the Garmin suite. I talked to Brock and I said, hey, listen, I want to link up with you and get some photos for you and really try to, you know, tell a good story for you. He had told me that he was going to take out kind of like the newer group of riders, and we were going to wait a little bit, and we were going to hit the road after that. And I said, okay, that's not a problem. So we did this with the Cheesy Tower ride. We only got to do the one because we left a little bit later in the day, and we had to get back because you had motor coaching again at 4, so we had to get back at around like 3-ish, so then we could all meet up with everyone and then go to the motor coaching spot, because the coaching spot was in a different location on Thursday than it was on Wednesday. The ride there to the tower was awesome. It was super easy and chill. We did have a couple people go down. One person went off into a rut too far, and then low-sided, and then the rider behind him, she was falling a little bit too close, is going to be my assumption, because I wasn't there to witness it, but based on their spacing and kind of the skid marks and whatnot in the dirt, she was probably just a little bit too close. And then when saw him go down, she grabbed a handful of front brake because she didn't have that much space to react, and then just washed the front end out and went down. No one was hurt, everything was fine. I immediately pulled over, threw the kickstand down, and went to help pick up bikes and make sure everyone was a-okay, and we dusted them off and we took off again. Once you get to the road to the tower, I shouldn't say road, once you get to the path to the tower, it does get pretty steep. Nothing that's hard in any way, shape, or form. It's actually a pretty easy route. The only thing I would say is, since we were kind of in that newer group of riders, a little bit of extra momentum on their part would have helped them, but I also understand things are coming at you 500 miles an hour when you're just starting to do this, and it can be a little bit intimidating, and you're kind of focused on what's going on immediately in front of you instead of the fundamentals, which is all part of being a new rider. You can ask Anna, she just started riding and she's going through all those motions now. But that was my only gripe, is that there was some times that just a little bit of extra speed would have been good. And it's not really a gripe, it's more so constructive criticism, but it's all part of riding with a new group. And I was running sweep on that ride, so I was the very last person, so I was kind of herding the cats, you know. But everyone on that ride did a great job. I have no complaints. You know, that was really my only tidbit of critique. Would have been a little bit more momentum on that climb, would have been money. It would have made it a lot less work. It would have been a lot easier just to have a little bit of drive to make it up, and everything would have been fine. So we finish that and head back to the campground. We link up with everyone at the end of the ride, and then we start moto coaching day 2, which is at a different location, which was right down the road. So it's not a big deal, not far in any way, shape, or form. But so we went down the road to do this, and the coaching event for that day was going to be towing. MotoMission provided green chili tow straps and demoed how you set it up. Loop on the tow vehicle side on the shifter side, and then on the recovery bike you're looping it around the brake side so you don't accidentally engage the shifter while you're pulling the bike, and demoed that. And then groups and waves of people went through and did it, and then at the very end everyone got a tow strap, which I thought was awesome as well. So not only are you getting free information, you're also getting free recovery gear. And I'm not out for the free stuff. I do love the information, but I can buy my own stuff. But man, that was much appreciated to say, hey, here's some equipment for you, and good equipment at that, you know. So that was awesome and unexpected, but very much appreciated. So after everyone left for coaching, Brock and I decided to hang out for a little bit. We shot some photos, messed around in the water and whatnot. The lighting was pretty good, still a little on the harsh side, but I didn't have any control in this event. If I had my way, we would have done everything on a timetable in terms of lighting to provide the best possible shots for Brock, for MotoMission, and for everyone attending, which I'm hoping in the next couple events, because I plan to attend a couple of his upcoming events, hopefully, fingers crossed, that I can jump in and say, hey, you know, we're going to be on trail 12, and on trail 12, you know, there's these things, and we're going to do it at this time. So we have like 3 different obstacles, and that's how we're going to format it, is what my hope is for the future. Because that's what I want to bring to this community. You know, I love riding adventure motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles a long time. I've been doing photography for a long time, and I want to really bring those 2 passions together and really provide you guys with the images and the media that you can be proud of, that you can print from me. I have a full print studio, and you can hang your beautiful print on your wall in your office, at home or at work or whatever, and you can remember the awesome times you had with awesome people. So after that, we did our usual Ironworks grill, had dinner, went back to the cabin, and then you fast forward to Friday. Friday morning, I mean, from like 9 until 12, it just dumped. It was just pouring rain, which I'm not mad about. I really wanted to get out there and ride. But again, I was linking up with Brock so we could do, you know, awesome photos, and we had agreed to do Whit Road. And I couldn't have been happier for this decision, because man, you type in Whit Road on YouTube, and there's 5 billion hits of people attempting it, crashing it, making it, talking about it, whatever, fill in the blank. And it's something that's been on my list to do for a long time, you know, and I told myself when I moved from Florida to North Carolina that now it's going to be close. I was going to be way closer. It's only a couple hour ride if you're not doing the scenic route like I do to get there, that you could actually get to that area pretty quickly and do those challenging areas. So we decided that we were going to do that. I was pumped. We had a couple of people that joined us, and we're probably like 20 minutes before we're about to leave, maybe even less than that, a guy and a girl show up on a 1250 GS asking if anyone had air, and there was an air compressor over by the fridge, but it didn't have an air chuck. So I was like, well, I have, you know, in my saddlebags I have an inflator. So I had my Fantic X9 Pro Majigger, whatever, awesome inflator, I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. Pull it out of the bag, hook it up to his bike, he asked for 38 pounds in front and rear tire, set him all to 38, and he was on his way. We had asked him where he was going to go, and he was actually heading out towards where we were thinking about riding. We're like, well, why don't you just tag along with us? And he's like, okay, that's cool. And that's what I mean by this event band was nice, like, hey, this person paid and they're supposed to be here, but it was a group that was with open arms. You know, if you're riding a motorcycle, you're one of us. So if you want to tag along, we got your back, and we're gonna go have fun. So if you want to join, great. If not, all good. You know, so that was awesome as well. You know, there was never a like, oh crap, I paid for this event and this dude gets to, you know, take part for free. It was never like that, and plus they miss out on all the coaching and all that stuff. So not here nor there, and there's 0.0 part of me that was mad about that, because he's actually an awesome dude. He was riding with his wife, and for them to say, yeah, we'll do Whit Road, 2 up on a GS, okay. So we head off, and to get to Whit Road, you have to go down that Consega Falls Road deal, and then you reach a point where it goes right and left. Like I was saying earlier, if you go right, you go to the falls. If you go left is where you start at Whit Road. So we took the left turn, and I guess at some point Brock had stopped to check something on his phone, message someone on his phone or whatever, puts it in his pocket, we take off, all is well. He ends up wiping out in this groove because we're still gonna have fun on our bikes, and he decided he was gonna take this one rut. And it was just slick as can be. Low sides real quick, we help him get the bike up, and then we are on our way. Whit Road, going from 68, because there's obviously you can hit it 2 different ways. Going from 68 technically has 3 water crossings before you actually hit the water crossing, which is the slate rock with the algae and all that stuff, right? So which I really, I guess I didn't know or didn't remember or whatever. In the first portion from 68, the first water crossing isn't anything spectacular. It's literally 2 puddles, but it is technically part of the creek, if you will. So you cross that, go over and cross another one. And then that is just the beginning of all of it, because the water crossings really are like back to back. They happen very quickly. So you finish those 2 little deals, and then you roll up to the top, and then you drop down, and that's where you hit like the first like major crossing. Brock had stopped so he could kind of film some of us, and I was next in line, and I'm ready to go. I'll accept the challenge. Let's go. So to touch on the point of being from Florida, on the trails that I rode and whatnot, you don't really have a lot of standing water. It's a lot of sugar sand. Sand doesn't hold water. Water runs right through it. So if there's standing water, that means it's all the way down to the water table, or there's clay underneath there, which is few and far between in my area of Florida where I was riding. So if you saw water, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going through that. So now, you know, there's stuff that I went through, you know, in my years, but nothing that was ever like this. You know, again, talking about a sandy structure, the stuff you're going through is just water. It can be mud, it can be whatever, but you don't really have the rocks to contend with that you have crossing these creeks and whatnot. So I just adopted the mentality, I'm just going for it. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm just going. So as soon as he gave me the green light, I was so eager to go, I didn't even close my visor to protect from water splash, and I went and clicked off into second gear, so I was going way too fast. So I went through this first water crossing, tidal waved myself. I couldn't see, even though in the camera footage you see the water's running off of it because graphene coating, so you know that makes all the difference in the world. But my eyes aren't graphene coated, so I was pretty much blind. I couldn't really see where I was going. Once I got some vision back, I was like, oh crap, I'm at the part where you need to make the sharp left-hand turn. And I didn't know that there was a specific line you had to take. I didn't walk, I didn't do anything, I just went. And I ended up on the far right side, which actually would have been the easiest path to take, but there's a tree down. So I get up to there, I come to the stop, and I'm like, there's a tree, blah, blah, blah. And then I hear on the Cardo, you have a rider down. So then I just figure out what I'm gonna do with my bike. I just lay it over on the right side. I can't put the kickstand down. I'm not gonna be able to fix my situation fast enough. I need to go help another rider. So I just laid my bike down on the right side, which probably wasn't the smartest, because as we all know, the Tenerés, you can bend the exhaust and whatnot, but it doesn't matter. Moving on. So I run down, help out the rider that went down. It turned out it was one of the guys from the group, obviously, that was on a Pan America. That's a heavy bike. I know, I owned one. So we help him get the bike situated, and then get him up and through the mud path, which my props to him, dude. You know, again, owning that bike, I know what that bike is like to muscle around. It's not a good time. Not that it's a bad bike, it's just that it's large and it's got some weight to it. So it's not ideal. So we get him through it, and then we get the dude on the 450. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, that's why I'm just gonna call you dude on the 450. Awesome dude, by the way. I have a good story to tell about him. He just muscles his way through it, no problems whatsoever. Obviously, he's on a 450, and we're on adventure bikes, so I called him a cheater. Not cheating, just the weapon he chose, right? Mission dictates gear. Mission always dictates gear. So if I had trailered my DRZ out, and I knew, and obviously had the intentions of doing wet road, if I had my DRZ, I probably would have taken it on this, because it would have been so much easier to handle in the water than my Teneré. But I wanted to ride the pavement all the way there, all the way back. I wanted the experience. That's why you buy an adventure bike, right? So we get through that one, get to the next one, and it's literally, you get through the first one, you get it wrap around, and then boom, you stop. And it's pretty deeply rutted here. You have to basically drop off of it and then cross the water to the other side. And you're looking at it, the right side is just a steep drop off. Can it be done? Absolutely. Middle, probably one of the more safer bets, but if you go to the far right, you can kind of ride the wall a little bit and then drop in like this. So Brock decided to go that way, and I was like, yeah, that was the path that I was thinking as well, because then I don't know how deep that mud hole, those mud ruts are. This is the safer bet. The only thing you really have to risk there is the bike sliding out when you get kind of up on that angle, but as long as you dig the knobbies in, you're going to be okay. So then, he went ahead and went. There's a big rock on the right-hand side. We know you just kind of, stay to the middle. Don't sway to that right, because that big rock will kick you. and then made it through that one, and all is well. We got everyone through that one. I didn't have any issues there. Dude on the GS, his girl would get off for the water. I think she stayed on for the first one, but then got off for the second one. I don't remember. You know, the footage will obviously tell you all that, because I didn't review it in great detail. I just made notes, so I wanted to get out here and talk to you guys. And I've tried doing this for days. It's always been life or weather or something like that. I haven't been able to do it. So finally, I'm like, I'm doing it right now. No exceptions. So we get through that, and now we're coming up on the last water crossing. And Brock was like, hey, you know, if you want to go first, that way you can run your camera, everyone going through. And I said, absolutely. He took time out of his day to stop there and talk to us about it, in terms of, you know, there's a hole here, a hole here, a hole here, you know, and a lot of it's just luck. Some days you make it, some days you don't. And I'm like, well, if it's like that, I'm just rolling the dice. I'm here. This is what I signed up for, and this is what I'm gonna do. It doesn't matter to me any of the other details. I just want to do the thing. I don't care. To the point to where you can see they're all still down talking. When I'm on my bike, I'm already fired up, I'm ready to go, and I was getting kind of antsy. I was just gonna start going at them, and then they would naturally just make a path. Not trying to be rude, I was just eager to do it, because that's my mentality, is I want to do what makes me uncomfortable, and I just want to go out and I just want to hit it hard. I just want to do the thing. So then I go out and I'm just gonna go for it, and I make sure that I'm in first gear, because I don't want to be stupid and go fast, because I already know it's super slick. I did walk out into it, so I knew what to expect, and it is 110%. Like everyone says, it's super slick. It's like ice. So I know that if I go to dab, I'm probably going down. Like, it's just part of it. So I just check that box in my head, that if the bike starts to slide, it's probably going to be over. And the way that it is, you kind of has like all these little shelves. So you just kind of have to like pick your line and hope that you're on enough of a shelf to where it doesn't want to slide you off of it into another one, which is exactly what happened, which you can see I'm going, and then the front end just slides off the shelf, and boom, the whole bike goes down, because you're not stopping it. You go to put a foot down, and really all you do is pull a muscle in your leg trying to stop it, because your foot just slides out. Let's get the bike back up, and I'm committed. There is no way that I am not following through with this and getting this done. I'm not duck walking it or anything like that. I am fully committed to keeping both feet on the pegs and doing the best that I can to get this bike across. Because yeah, I could have taken the easy route and walked it or what have you, but I chose not to, because I really, 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 really wanted to just commit and just go. Get the bike back upright, and we go ahead, and Joe helps me, which thank you, Joe. You helped me a lot during that with balancing the bike and whatnot, helping me while I was getting around to it, so I could get a leg over it, so I could ride it the rest of the way. And I go some more, and the bike goes down again. And I know why now, because after I pick up the bike and get it across the way, there is a section that's kind of like a hole, but the slate rock kind of makes like an X. So when your front tire hits it, it doesn't, you don't really know where to go. Like, the bike just wants to, well, do I go this way, do I go that way? And if you hit and start to go up on top of one of the shelves and slide down, the whole front end tucks, and you're back in the water cooling off, which is exactly what happened to me, which is 100% my fault, you know. If you suck, you suck, and I suck. So I finally get across the water, and I get a little celebratory, you know, rev, because it, you know, you conquered it. You know, even though you crashed, it doesn't matter, you still made it. There's countless people that just don't even do it because they don't want to put in the effort or the risk. And I will say that there's a lot of risk involved with it. If you notice, when I went down, I'm panicking to hit the kill switch, because I got to get this puppy turned off. I can't afford to have it ingest water or have ingress through the exhaust or whatever. I need to do everything I can to get it shut off so it can just have the highest probability of survival. Joe's up next. He goes down kind of in the front section of it as well. His bike does not restart. It makes an awful noise. We say stop, time out. We push it the rest of the way across, and then we let it sit for a while we got the other bikes across, and then we ended up standing in at 12 o'clock to drain some of the water out of the exhaust. Ultimately, we said we need to call for a tow. Say, okay, we need to call for a tow. That's not a problem. There's this beautiful whiteboard under the overhang at the campground every day. Have a problem? Here's a number to text. Need a tow? Here's a number to text. Brock starts doing this. I don't have my cell phone. And he's like, I know I had it because I stopped to reply or check something or whatever he said. I'm not gonna put words in his mouth. But he's like, I know that I had it when we shoved off. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. So no problem. I had the numbers in my phone. I text through the Garmin messaging app, so my inReach is out there, because you're obviously out in the middle of the woods. There's no cell service. So you have no cell service. So that's the only way you can communicate is through the Garmin inReach messaging. Well, it's not inReach, but messaging app, using whatever tools you have. And that's an awesome piece of kit. I can't imagine doing this without it. It was a lifesaver in this exact instance. How else do you communicate? You'd have to ride all the way back to camp to talk to someone, versus I literally just moved out to a clearing in the woods, sent the text message. I stood there for maybe 2-3 minutes. It made its little noise that, hey, it sent the message, and I moved on. So we had known that, you know, we're not that far away from camp. We're probably 5-6 miles of total pavement. It's going to take a while for a truck to get there, though. So I said, hey, Brock, I raised my hand to go and look for your phone. Maybe I can find it. You know, you probably lost it when you crashed in that rut. And he was like, oh, well, if you do that'd be great. It's like, cool. All I want is one person to go with me. So that way, if something happens to me, we got something or whatever. You always want to work in the buddy system, right? So my homeboy on the 450, he was like, I'll roll with you. What better deal than a guy on a bike that can do pretty much anything? So we take off and head back. We go back across Witt Road, that Slate Rock crossing, which I did walk the bike across it because I want to minimize my exposure. I got lucky twice. No hydrolock, and I just watched poor Joe and his Touareg get hydrolocked and need a tow, which is why we're in this position that we're in now. So I was like, man, I got lucky twice. Someone had my back twice. So I decided I just walk it across, which is just as, it's almost just as challenging, because and maybe in a way it's almost harder in a way, because you're trying to control the bike. It's trying to slip and slide wherever it wants. Your feet are slip or sliding wherever they want to go. It's a nightmare, but I highly recommend you do it. You only live once. Get out there and do it. So anyways, we get back across, and we have to go back through all those water crossings, which were an absolute riot, you know, because now you've already done it. You know what to expect. You've ripped that Band-Aid off. Just send it. Just go. So I had a blast going back through, and him and I were chatting a little bit. He was into RC cars back in the day too, mechanic as well. You know, again, that you align with these amazing people. What are the odds that, you know, I go out on a ride with people I've never met a day in my life, and here I am on a cell phone recovery mission with this guy, and he was into RC cars as well, competition RC cars. He had original Gold Pan RC10, which is like back from '84 is when that car came out. So to align with someone like that, man, you can't make that stuff up, right? So we go all the way back to where that rut is, and we get off the bikes, walk around. I don't see anything. He doesn't see anything. Walking around and seeing if there's anything we can find. We start looking over on the edge, because he did kind of roll a little bit. We don't see anything. Of course, I don't have his number, and we don't have cell service, so it's not like you can just call it and listen for a vibration or a ring or whatever, right? So I say, hey man, let's go all the way back to 68th, hit pavement, and then we'll say that we successfully covered the whole thing. He's like, no problem, let's go. Rode all the way to 68, turned around. And mind you, this entire time, we're not trying to cook it or book it. I was actually going painfully slow, like just barely in second gear. So I could see something, because I mean, phones nowadays, I mean, they're huge. It'd be pretty easy to see if it's on the trail, right? So we get all the way back to pavement, turn around, head back, and we're like, man, we're not finding this stuff, right? We're not gonna find this phone. So we decide that we'll just head back, and we should be fine. During all of that running around and whatnot, we ran into the truck that was coming to pick up Joe and his Touareg. There's that train again. And asked it, you know, what they had, and I was like, couple water crossings, couple will be sketch because they get kind of deep towards the end, you know, but you'll be fine, just take your time. And he was an experienced off-roader, so he was going to be fine. So we get back to go through all the water crossings. The one where you have to cross and then make the immediate left-hand turn, now I knew, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go, and I'm gonna just make my turn, and then either take the left side or the middle. I had completely forgotten after I crossed the water, the left side has that big root in the way. So guess what I did? I took the far left-hand side, made it until that back end hit that root, that back of the bike slid, I tried to catch it, boom, 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 and just softly put it down. As soon as that happens, my homie on the 450 rips by me, barely missing me because he was pretty close to me. So he crashes off to the side. So we're just laughing, having the time of our lives. We get this picked back up. get it out of the way, and then we come back and get his situated. His bike is running weird after that little crash for whatever reason. It's fuel injected, plus it's a Honda, so they typically don't act weird. But anyways, he got it up and running, and finally it cleared out. It maybe just got flooded or something like that. I don't know. It's all good no matter what. Maybe got a little water in the airbox when it crossed, and then when it tipped, it allowed it to go in. I don't know. But either way, it ran fine after a few minutes of just trying to clear it out. We stopped before Whit Road, before the Slate Rock crossing. They were loading up Joe's bike at that time. We walk across and get it loaded up and all that, and Brock had asked us if we wanted to continue on, and every single one of us said yes. So I went back and walked my 10RA back across the Slate Rock because, again, trying to mitigate risk and exposure. So I walk it back across, and then we continue on. By now it's like probably 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we again couldn't ride that long because we had to be back for the moto coaching. And this time it wasn't a set moto coaching like theme. It was more so like, hey, who would like help? Raise your hand if you'd like some coaching, and I'll be happy to help you with anything that you wanted, which I thought was also cool. So we ride a little bit, and then we ultimately end up heading back. We head back, and from my experience of that day, I literally sat down on the bench under the overhang, took my boots off, drained the water out of them for like the 4th time, took my socks off, wrung them out, and just kind of sat there bootless and sockless, letting everything dry, as I was just like, what the hell just happened? And I mean that in the most positive way. You know, it's incredible the things you experience on your adventure motorcycle, especially the things you experience surrounded by people that have the same goals and mindset. It's incredible. You can't make it up. We're back at the lodge area. I don't know if he coached anybody. I don't know that to be fact. I do know that I just hung out, recharged a little bit, and then we're gonna have dinner at Ironworks. So at that point I rode back and was just like still trying to wrap my head around everything, from all the water crossings, all the rocks, which is a new experience for me, Whit Road, the Slate Rock section, and then everything that happened between the Hydrolock bike, lost phones, going through the water crossings a bunch of time. It was a blast, but it was just a lot. It was and a lot in a good way. I cannot stress that enough. None of this was bad in any way, shape, or form. So you fast forward to Saturday. Saturday is technically the last day of the event. So Saturday, the weather is definitely a lot better, and we decide that we're gonna head to Alien Landing Pad, sorry, I think is what it's called. And it's like this concrete structure in the middle of the woods, which is exactly why they call it that, because it looks like a landing pad for one. It's like the big concrete columns and a concrete pad on top that, you know, an alien ship could land on and whatnot. And it's in the middle of the woods. Like, it takes some effort to get there, you know? So we decide to ride there. We do take a wrong turn, which is literally a right turn. If you just would have went another 200 feet and make that right turn, you would have been right there. So we go down this path that's full of water holes and mud and all this other stuff, and it just dead ends ultimately at these railroad tracks, which it looks like sometimes people primitively camp there. And so we decide to turn around. We fly the drone a little bit, but we turn around, head back, and then get to the actual point. We start doing a break out the camera. We start doing some awesome action shots there. And then we decide we're gonna ride up a little ways, and there's kind of like a waterfall with another concrete structure that we were going to do some photos at. So we go there, do the photos there. Again, awesome action shots. And then we're kind of being concerned on time yet again, because we have to be back for a setup of moto games. So you get coaching throughout those days, and then the last day on Saturday you do moto games, which is actually compete against each other for prizes and all the glory, right? So we decide after Alien Pad we have enough time to make it to the power plant. So we did the ride to the power plant, and then we spent a few minutes there, and then Brock's like, we got a boogie to get back in time. So no problem. We boogie a little bit. I'm still trying to get comfortable with riding. This is a weird connection that I have with this bike. A weird connection that I don't really make is that I ride it more like a street bike, in terms of not really putting the bike underneath me and getting a leg out to really make the tight turns. I still am in that mindset of feet are always on the pegs and stuff like that. But it's weird because even though it is a dirt bike or dirt-ish bike, on the DRZ, I immediately transform, and I think it's just because they feel so different, but that's not here nor there. That's a different video. That's not a knock to this. It's more so just a rewire here. So we boogie back, and I like, you know, I'm just trying to keep a good pace so I don't get too far behind, because some of it's kind of rough to where you want to stand up, but if I sit down, I ride this bike way faster, and maybe that's just me, maybe that's lack of skill, maybe it's just, again, that rewire thing. I don't know, just being transparent. So I sat down and I was really able to put down some speed then. We get back to the pavement because we rode a chunk of pavement to get to where we wanted to turn off, because we needed to cut a chunk of the route out because we can't spend all that time on the dirt if we're on this time restraint, right? So we had to pound pavement back, which was probably like 30 minutes easy of just pavement to get back to the campground from the spot that we dumped back out onto the pavement. So you ride that, get there, and then Brock immediately changes and gets into setting up for moto games. I just hang out for a little bit, break out my camera, and start snapping photos of the games. Start off with a towing game where you're timed and you have to swap and cross the line and all that, and you get a penalty of, I think, 10 seconds per dab. So start out with that game, and then after that's a slow race, and you just do an elimination deal. Basically, winner faces the next winner, so on and so forth. And then you do best of 3 at the end with the 2 winners of the deal to find the ultimate winner, which was Wild Bill on his 300 KTM. Quite the character. I love his wheelie for the win there at the very end. Awesome stuff. So we finished the games and whatnot, and then we had a little surprise, not really surprise, but it was something to where, like, when you sign up for the event, it say no meals are provided. You do get a continental breakfast in the mornings, but no meals are provided. The continental breakfast is really nice. I didn't have any of it because once I leave the cabin, I'm ready to do the thing. I've already caffeinated, eaten, I'm ready to rock and roll. That's how I do all my stuff. I never show up and, oh, I still need to do this, or I still need to do that, or I'm not 100% ready to do the thing. I show up ready to work and ready to hit it. But I still want to put it out there that they had coffee and they had fruit and they had the little, like, trail mix packets and stuff like that. So that's really nice that they're giving you that stuff to fuel your day and whatnot. They don't have to do that. They can say, hey, you're an adult, you can figure it out on your own. So then we were gonna have this dinner. And I didn't know what we were having. I do know I saw some of the girls, you know, Becky was making, I think it was, God, what's the stuff that's made with cabbage? Coleslaw, I think it is. I don't know. Don't eat it. Don't eat cabbage. So I don't know. I'm not much of a vegetable guy, carnivore 100%. Just give me the meat and the fresh fruits. I'm sold. I'm in. But there was pulled pork and green beans and stuff. So all in all, my point being is the green beans were good and the pork was amazing. I'm not a pork guy. For me, it's got to be beef, chicken, or like raw oysters or stuff like that. Again, that's going back to the carnivore side. I know pork is a meat. It just doesn't work for me, and that's not here nor there. It's just whatever. But this stuff was really good. I forget who made it. I think it was one of the guys who was at the campground. Delicious. So great job, man, and thank you so much. And thank you to MotoMission for providing that, because obviously there was a cost involved with all of that, and they didn't have to do that, but they did. So we had the dinner, and then after dinner we did the awards for various things, whether it was, you know, I think there was a Pitbull award for God, I cannot remember her name. Total sweetheart. I talked to her a bunch because she was having a lot of problems with her XT250, smoking and whatnot. But anyway, she had won that one because she just wouldn't give up on that bike and just kept beating it to death. And it ultimately got her through the whole deal. And that's what I kept telling her, is that it doesn't matter, you know, if it's smoking or whatnot, as long as it runs, just ride it. Who cares? Just send it. You're here, capitalize on the time. If it blows up, it blows up. The end result's still the same. You still got to fix it. Who cares? And ultimately, I think the bike did die at the very end there and had to be towed, which in my opinion, as much oil as it was burning through that, it probably just fouled the spark plug. I don't know, neither confirmed nor, at that point, the trip was basically over at that point anyway, so it's no big deal. Just tow it, throw it over in the corner and deal with it when you get back, you know? So we did the awards, various awards. I'll post those pictures up now. You can see the different ones. It's, you know, some of them not so good where people weren't really interacting with the photo camera, more so maybe the video camera. And hopefully I change that in the future, because I think that you guys would love to have those awards, boom, and posted with Brock and maybe Ani. And I think that would be a really great product to have for you guys, something to offer, a service that can really save those memories, you know, because like something a lot of my military buddies always talk about is take more pictures with your friends, right? Because that's really it may be the only memory you have of them. And as we all age, our memories, you know, aren't so good anymore. You know, I'm going to be 40 here in a couple of months. My memory is pretty good, but there's still some things, little holes here and there, you know. So those photos would remind you of those awesome times. I'm not big on taking photos with my phone. I'm not one of those people that live through my phone. I live here. But those photos are really awesome, you know, so I can't preach that enough. You know, in my years of shooting weddings, there's something I was always asked, do you offer video services? And I said no, and here's why. And this, I know it's off topic, but it just drives home the point of buying photos and printing your photos, right? Is that when you get married, you get your wedding video, get your wedding photos, you'll watch that video 100 times in the first week. You'll have people come over, you'll watch it then maybe watch it a couple of times throughout the next 90 days. And then after that, it just kind of gets put away. It doesn't mean you don't care, it doesn't mean you don't like it, but the photos, you print them, you hang them on your wall, they're in your bedroom, your hallway, your office, fill in the blank, and they're there forever. And photos to me truly are worth 1,000 words. So, I don't know, print your photos. I can print all of them for you. And I can do crazy things with my print studio. So fast forward, we're past the award ceremony, which was totally awesome. The little extra, you know, seasoning on top of the weekend. So we're all gonna break. They would have campfire time. I didn't really hang out for that because I didn't want to ride in the dark. Not that I'm afraid to. I've ridden a ton in the dark, but there's a lot of deer out there, and I've already rolled the dice with Whit Road and whatnot. So let me just get back, and also it gives me time to hang out with my girl and my dog. Which is extremely important. It can't all be just, you know, work and fun on the motorcycle. Sunday is technically the send-off day. So Sunday we meet at the campground yet again. Each morning we kind of do like this little, you know, story time, I'll say. And there's always a lesson behind it. Brock always finishes it with, you know, a Bible verse or maybe even a chapter of something, to where he's driving home a point, you know, like he said this a lot, like come and see, you know, when we're talking about stuff in John. And I don't know the Bible through and through, so don't quote me on stuff like that, but he'd leave you with little things like, hey, while you're out and about, you know, and enjoying God's creation, come and see what God has created, right? And man, when you're out there, you know, I can't say enough about how happy I am to live in the Appalachians and not be, technically I'm in Piedmont, but either way, I mean, I go just a zhuzh that way and I'm in the Appalachians. Because it's just so much more beautiful than Florida. I appreciate Florida for its nature and beauty, but not really my thing, right? So anyways, so Sunday we do our morning little routine at the campground. And then we head from there to Tellico Inn, which is like, they have a little beach right there at the river. We go down there and he does offers baptism. I think we did 5 people. I shot some photos of that. I'll post those up here. It was a beautiful time and a beautiful experience. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that. Then I walked around and shook hands and was grateful to meet with people that I had met with during this time. Camera's about to die. So I met with these people at this time, and you know, we shared some awesome stories and changed out of my wet stuff and threw back on my boots and socks and took off. Yeah, I guess to kind of just wrap it all up before my camera dies, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the who, what, when, where, why, how. I'm beyond grateful for the time, the opportunity, the images that I captured, and the people that I met, and the memories that I made along those lines with those people. Because just like in all my years of managing people, I always say it's truly all about the people, 100%. If you got the wrong person in the wrong spot, it's just not going to work. But it doesn't mean that person's bad. It just maybe they need to be in a different spot. Those people have bills to pay, this, that, the other, right? It just shows my passion for the people side of things. And man, did I meet some awesome people, you know. And again, like I said, you know, I was being weird and awkward walking around. These people invited me in like I was part of their family, you know, and I built some awesome memories with these people, and every single person that I talked to was warm and welcoming, and it was just in a phenomenal time, which goes to prove that I was aligned with this path to go to MotoMission. Everything lined up perfectly. When everything was stacked against me, at the last second, everything lined up perfectly, and I was able to go and I was able to do the thing. That shows that there is no coincidence in life. Everything is on purpose, and everything lined up perfectly for me to be able to do this. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to continue to do these events with MotoMission and bring you guys awesome images and some great, you know, life experiences for myself to get out there and ride the bike and do the thing. And I encourage you to do the same. You know, this is your life. It's ending 1 minute at a time. Go out and just do whatever makes you feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying jump off a building without a parachute or anything, but it's pretty easy to ride a motorcycle. Or maybe you're like my fiance, who has never ridden a motorcycle in her life, came from a motorcycle family. They own this huge company, teaches people how to ride motorcycles, and they wouldn't teach her because for whatever reason. How crazy is that? To just gatekeep someone like that. Don't do that. Don't gatekeep. Bring people in, get them into your circle, and let's grow this community. As it's exploding, we need to be open and receptive to all the new people, the people that are the Jameses of the world that buy the bike and come out with very little experience. And he's like, he wakes up every day and he's like, I'm gonna go and ride. I didn't die yesterday, and I try to kill myself in every turn, like he would say, but he does it anyways. And I can't say enough good stuff about that. Like, that is incredible. He is my hero. So I guess that's all I have for you guys. I appreciate your time. Please like, comment, subscribe. I know this is a long-winded video, but I really wanted to share my experience and do it from the heart. You know, I had a couple of notes here so I didn't forget stuff, and I'm sure I forgot stuff as well, but I really wanted to be heartfelt and transparent and open so you got the real feel, and I hope you enjoyed it. I got a lot more coming. Please tell me what you want to see, and hopefully you see me at more MotoMission events. Thank you.